Here we go. Today is May 25th, 2023. This is a 5 o'clock work session per KRS 61.86. This is a video teleconference meeting. The primary physical location for public attendance where all members may be seen and heard is at 321 West Main Street in Frankfort 40601. Call this meeting to order and please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hope everybody's doing well tonight. And before we get started, I would like to ask everybody to let's have a moment of silence for Officer Deputy Caleb Conley out of Scott County, who was his life was taken in last week, and I know he left a wife and family. So if we can take a moment of silence, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. All righty, we're going to roll into our work session. Is there any public comments? Anybody in the audience that would like to speak on anything tonight? Seeing nobody, we're going to go to Codell Construction. Chris, would you mind? I believe they're right outside the door there. Would you mind telling them your... Alrighty.
Hello.
Wes, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody?
Yes, I'm Wes Davis with Codo Construction. I'm the project manager that's been working on this project with OHM and Bob Pelosi and Robert Hewitt throughout. So I'm here to answer your questions. We got the drawings, the specs, and a few items there for you all to look at.
All right. You want to go ahead and do kind of an overlay of what we're having proposed to us tonight?
Yes, so the first item we have basically is bid package number 1, which is the pre-engineered metal building portion of the job for both the maintenance building, the big building in the middle, and the vehicle storage building. It is for all the material for both of those buildings as far as the steel is involved, with the exception of the structural steel for the mezzanine and the stairs that go to the upper level. We've got the fab and erection. So this is providing all of the material for it and installing it. Now, this is not for your foundations or your concrete slabs or earthwork or anything like that. It's strictly the metal buildings, the insulation, the roof panels, the wall panels, and everything that we had advertised in our RFP that we sent out.
So I guess one other thing, could you talk a little bit about, let's assume this might pass tonight, like what the next phase of this project would be and how we would move forward from here?
Yes. So if approved tonight, we would issue a notice of award to the subcontractor, which was SLA Enterprises, to basically tell them that they're going to be awarded a contract. This is a little different than just a normal bid package because you have a third party in a sense, the pre-engineered company, that they have to have a 10% down payment for the building just to start the process. So if we ordered it tomorrow, it's 5.5, 6 months to get the building in. So we would get the contract with SLA, which would come to you all at the next meeting, but we would get him a notice of intent. Then we would get the 10% for the building itself and get that to the pre-engineered company. Then, move, or you want me to go through like next steps for the whole project?
Please.
Okay. So let's say we get this all approved, get the metal building ordered, and we're moving to the next steps. We would take the rest of the job and break down bid packages, which we've already started doing. So I'd break down the site bid package, the electrical, the mechanical, plumbing, all the way through painting, basically finished grade, asphalt. We'll get that together, and then we'll have to bid each of those bid packages out, and that will be an encompass basically all of the job. So that next, you'll have one bid. You'll have probably 15 different bids, but it'll be the rest of the project's amount of money. So then you would take this amount from bid package 1 plus these to hopefully equal the budget we've provided in the beginning. that bid process, so let's say next meeting is the 7th, I think.
Correct.
So if that was approved at that meeting, we would have to advertise for, we did 21 days on the first one, but I would recommend doing the 28-day period on this one just because it's a, pretty extensive package. We'd put all that together and get it back out in an RFP in the paper in the land imaging. And then we'd repeat this same process that we're doing for the pre-engineered metal buildings.
So Wes, I'm gonna ask, so I believe you said you were working on the RFPs for the bid packages and stuff like that. So do you think that's something because I would like to provide that in the next packet,
Yes,
assuming this passes tonight.
yes,
So, our attorney could look over the RFPs, the magistrates could look over it and just make sure everybody kind of knows what's going on. So
yes.
if you think you could get that.
I'll put that together and give it to
Deputy
Mr.
Director,
Kennedy.
yeah. That'd be
Get
good.
that right.
So,
Sure.
okay.
I'll break the bid packages out so you know which ones they are.
Yeah.
What their scopes are.
All righty. I guess we'll see. But thank you very much.
Okay.
Is there any questions for Wes here?
Can you tell the board why?
Or to combine or package the metal with the actual construction, building of the building?
Definitely. Very good question. I mean, so you can look at it in a couple of different ways. If we had just put an RFP out for a bid package for the pre-engineered building itself, then we would have to go out to a company, Nucor, Varco, Pruden, some of these companies that's what they do. You're going to pay sales tax automatically up front by only dealing with them. The way we put this together, we did the fab and erect. So you save the sales tax automatically right off the front because he's fabbing and erecting this. So this SLA, they also fab steel. So he is subbing the actual pre-engineered building to a company, but he's actually producing some of the steel that goes along with that. And he can lump it all together and save the $24,000 right off the top. But it also helps with coverage of bidding. If I were to put this out just as a bid metal, if you will, let's to simplify it, just as the building metal, these companies don't just look for this kind of work. They work better with an erection company in a sense. Because you have to pay for the calculations and the reactions of these buildings. So this is just speeding up the process, but at the same time saving us money. And at the end of the day, hopefully that answers what you're looking for, Scotty.
Things, the bid, good that we received 2 bids, right, and they're fairly close, so I think we're on track. You said for the building, but we have 2 buildings that are within the scope of this award. Just wanted to verify that with you. Can you give us an idea on the lifespan, Wes, of what we're expecting on these facilities?
I mean, it's going to bypass our lifetimes. I mean, these buildings are, it's the structure alone, the steel and the column, the concrete, it's 8-inch concrete slabs. I mean, they're a 50-year, 60-year building automatically. But I mean, then you got to look at the finishes on them, the clear coating and the sealing of them all, insulation factors. To give you an exact answer, Mr. Witzman, years wise, I don't know that right off the top of my head, but I could definitely find that answer for you.
Guaranteed rating on metal or something.
Something.
Like the material itself on that metal is a 20-year, like a roof. That would be just the actual panel itself, but the whole structure of it and how long it will last. I mean, I could definitely look into.
Thank you, Judge, for your
Comments.
comments.
My colleague here has sort of a breakdown of estimations of the project costs, but I've yet to see really the scope of this project, and anxious to see sort of what we're endeavoring into. We're taking a step to award building this, and that's fine, but I'd like to see at our next meeting the full scope of the project and estimation of cost. So it's in a breakdown of what we're getting into from what I remember hearing at the beginning of the year that was cut it down to, budget or a better budget amount. So
How did the number come in
Answer
per?
that.
Yes.
In 2 parts, so I'll break it into metal building and then overall.
So, Richard, do you have that budget breakdown in front of you? Okay, so if Mr. Witzman, if you'll look down through there, the maintenance building and vehicle storage are it's over $3 million total, somewhere in that neighborhood, 3 to 6, something like that. The actual budget for just what is in this bid package number 1 RFP is $852,400. So we saved, $797,000 to that 852. That was the savings. Now, if you look at the 2 bids, if they're in your packets, I think one was the 797 is the low bid. It's exact tax savings because that other contractor, Rising Sun, does not fab. So that's where you say that it's basically the exact tax. So that's how close these bids are. I mean, these guys bid the job and they're right on top of each other. Within $2,000, something like that.
Project estimate of
$6.1 million. Yes.
First I've seen that. Thank you.
Yes.
Question for the county.
Squire Wisman, I know we were trying to schedule a meeting.
The whole, and
It
just,
hadn't worked out, I
it
realize.
hadn't worked out, so we'll still try to do that before we get there, okay? Because I do want everyone to feel comfortable with moving forward, so. Squire Tanner.
I got a question for the county attorney. We're not sales tax exempt?
I know he asked you, but can I address it? So,
Max said
it's, either way you want to look at it, Mr. Tanner, we put it out there as a DPO, so direct purchase order, but with him fabbing and erecting it, he saved it already automatically. So we could just do the DPO through Varco Proving, but he's gonna, the 24 grand would be added back on top of his.
He has to pay sales tax, but we don't. Is that what you're saying?
He can save it by being the erector is the deal. But if we wanted to just do a DPO, so moving down the road, let me explain it this way. For the rest of these bid packages, you're never gonna see this scenario. We're gonna do DPOs for everything else that's over $5,000. And you'll have a DPO for lights, outside lighting, for concrete, for rebar. But for this, it's just unique for the building itself because he's the erector and he can, when he brings
It into his shop, he's touching that metal and doing things to it before it comes out here. Now, not the whole building in a sense, but he can just save the tax on it. But that will not be the case for the rest of the job. It'll all be direct purchase orders.
Which means that we'll save tax.
You'll
on
save
it.
the
Okay, I
6%.
just want to
It'll be,
clarify
yep.
that, so.
Yep.
Yeah, Squire
The
Tanner.
way
Yeah.
we worded it is anything over $5,000 that doesn't mean that every sub's going to give you each of those, but we're going to push them to get to that amount. You're going to save quite a bit of money in that in the long run. We actually do a breakout, which when I send that list to you, Jack, you can show them at the bottom of that bid package. It'll say breakout items, and I'll list each item that I'm asking them to basically be a direct purchase order item for each bid package. So every trade, you can see if you think something else needs to be on there or what we're anticipating.
What other questions do we have?
I know the
Storage, one of the main concerns was the overhang. And you said you've already had a conversation with Mr. Coden. Can we make sure that that's documented in the minutes?
That's fine.
Okay.
So Kim, I guess we had talked about having a overhang on the front of the vehicle storage.
Okay.
So if you make note of that, that'd be great. Well, I just want to thank you for coming, Bob Pelosi for coming. I know you all came early in case anybody had any questions, and I think that probably helped a lot of people out. Like I was saying earlier, we're really trying to do a committee of the whole, but everybody's schedules didn't line up before this meeting tonight. And I think just to reiterate, we're trying to, do you all feel with the current timeline, and I know Stephen Hawkinsmith's here, if he wants to speak a little bit, there's a little bit of, we need to get this thing on the roof before winter hits, because if not, we're gonna be in a spot. So do you feel confident, like if, and I'm not saying it's gonna pass, but if this passes tonight, you all order it tomorrow, I know you can't take how long it's gonna take, but obviously, if you get everything else going, grade work and all that could potentially be done prior. Do you feel like we can have that building up before winter?
Well, Ms. Sherry asked the same question beforehand, and that's something that Stephen and I and Robert would have to coordinate. My game plan, and I talked to John Mitchell about this throughout the whole process, the problem if we wait and we don't get this building till December and he's right in the middle of salt, spreading salt, it's gonna be an issue. But if everything moves forward, my game plan, and Stephen, you would have to okay this, but I think that we would go ahead and knock out the two front buildings, your mechanics building and the building behind it for now, and get you to be able to have that as a usable space while we demo the big building and go ahead and get started on grading and all that. And then by November, when the building gets here, we get the, at least get it enclosed by January.
Okay, nice.
Now, we'll be obviously finishing and all that, but
Squire Tracy?
Would the salt bin be one of the main priorities in relocating, just because of where it's currently at?
that's, if we can get the grading done, I had told you, I think we need to leave it in place now and try to work around it. But if we could get the grading done and we could move it, but we have to get that structure ordered, and I don't know the lead time on the actual, the canopy and all that. So I think we'll have to work around it.
But as of right now, it's not, what you're saying is it's not in the way for you all to start on the big building?
No, it's in that back right corner, behind it there. I mean, it's not idea, Scotty, I mean, we're gonna have to work around it, but we realize that that's, it's not an optimal time to start a building in the middle of the winter either, so we'll have to make it work. We'll have to barricade around that, do our grading and make it work, build it into our schedule that way.
Thank you.
Yes.
And that's going on that back, like where the dumpsters are now, right?
So
Back in that,
existing salt barn is on the back right side, if you will,
Right.
and it'll be
And where
going
it's
on the
going.
back left side, correct? It's kind of centered, back left center of the new building.
okay, more where those like those dumpsters.
Back, where the dumpsters are,
Yeah.
yes.
Was just notified, we need to try to remember to turn the mics on so they can pick it up, just so everybody can hear, so.
Any other questions for Wes? Or Bob, I guess it's Bob here. You didn't get to come up tonight, Bob, with Wes? Here, come on. See no other questions? We thank you.
Yes, thank you all.
All righty. We'll go to the judge's report. We held our employee appreciation lunch on May 10th at the Carter House. I want to thank each and every one of the magistrates who helped pay for the food. I think it was a very nice gesture for the employees. We had a great turnout, and the ones that couldn't come, we sent to-go plates back to their place of business. Andrew has some pictures up here. You have more pictures, Andrew, or is that it?
That's it for this one, Judge.
Okay, so just want to make sure, I'm going to keep moving, if not, all right. I had a meeting with Economic Development, Bluegrass Ad, CAECO, it's been busy. Comp Plan Advisory Committee met on 5/16, and we'll be meeting again on the 31st. Road Committee met on the 18th to discuss the updates for the road department plans. I, along with Mayor Lane Wilkerson, spoke at the Frankfurt Leadership Class. It was Government Day, so it was nice because, it's an important program in this community. I know Mitzi Jevin, our assistant, and Jack have both been through that program, and highly recommend it to anybody that might have the opportunity. Squire Sebastian and I attended an amazing event at Stewart Home School, where we presented a proclamation declaring May 19th through the 21st as Stewart Home and School Family Weekend. I want to say thank you to Squire Sebastian for the invite, and also she was a keynote speaker. So very proud of her, and had some very nice things to say. It was a great event. And Andrew has some pictures. Thank you. Okay, you got more pictures.
Yeah, just those two slides, Judge.
All right. But I will say, it was a special event. I mean, that family's weekend, there was people from all over, and it was an exciting time, and it's amazing that we have that facility here. Most of the parents that I spoke to that were from other states said they've looked all over the country and found nothing to compare Stewart Home and School to. And I think that just speaks volumes that it's here in Frankfort, Kentucky, and we should all be proud of it. The other night I attended a Homemaker's 90th year celebration at the Extension Office. That was pretty cool. A lot of people from all over, even from other counties, that came to celebrate things, and they had they had scrapbooks from 1933. It was cool. So yeah. Yesterday, I formally want to thank the Chief Brewer and Assistant Chief and I want to thank sheriff, because really he wasn't there. I was gonna think, maybe Deputy Will is, I was trying to figure out how to, no, I want to thank Sheriff's Department also. We participated in the memorial ride where, 400 bikers basically ride from California to Washington DC. And their theme and their words is, "We ride for those who can't." It was a very, very cool event, a lot of Vietnam veterans and things like that. There's some pictures up there now. It was an awesome event. I will want to say thank you to VF Post 4075 right here in downtown. They coordinated everything. They did a phenomenal job. Like I said earlier, the fire department with the local other fire department here in town, city fire department hung the flag, which was very nice, and then the sheriff's department escorted them in, I think from Waddy all the ways too, and then put them back on the highway to go to Winchester. But yeah, it was a great event, and everybody should check out. One of the coolest things was, I didn't realize the state police has a Huey helicopter that they refurbished, and they set it up so the helicopter flew in. And let me tell you, I was up near the statue when you could hear some of the guys saying, "I feel something," and they're like, before they could even see it, and then they could hear it. And it was pretty emotional because obviously that was the helicopter that got a lot of them out of Vietnam. So that was a really cool event to attend. Yesterday, the Strategic Planning Commission met. We discussed about reapportionment and the 3 appointees that will be recommended to the Fiscal Court over the next several weeks. And the county clerk and Robert Hewitt of Planning and Zoning will also be on that committee as non-voting members to help guide that process. And then also yesterday, we attended the Governor's Memorial Ceremony honoring the over 18,000 Kentuckians that lost their life to COVID-19. And that was an amazing event. Artist Amanda Matthews from Kentucky created a beautiful sculpture that's really located as you're pulling up to the Capitol on the right-hand side. They built it over there. It was just all about love, unity, on the globe itself says, "United we stand, divided we fall." I would encourage everybody to visit that piece of art right there. It's just phenomenal. She went into depth why she put holes in the chest of people, because that's, what happened, and the loved ones everybody lost. And then there's a bell hanging in each of them, because if you remember, the governor rang a bell every day. So she did a really good job, and there was a ton of people there from all over the state, and local healthcare providers and people that helped pay for it. So that is my report. And now I'm going to ask Road Department update. Mr. Hawksmith, you here to do that for us tonight?
Evening, Court.
Good evening.
Hey.
The last 2 weeks, we've been roadside mowing, District 3 and District 4. And we're in the process of mowing Ducker's Golf Course at the moment. And we've been chipping, yard waste. We finished Governor's Place, got that wrapped up. And we've been shouldering parts of Stony Creek and North Stony, now Nance Bend. We're at the new blacktop.
Good deal. All right, so there's a hard question for Stephen. I mean, just a question. Go ahead, Mr. White.
So with Yard Waste Wednesdays, have you seen a pickup from folks from city, county?
Yes, last week we had 24 county and 32 city. This week we had 22 county and 54 city. And we had 3 guys working this week, and it was all 3 guys to do to keep up in those 4 hours.
70 something.
70, 60 total in 4 hours.
So can I ask a follow-up question of our road staff? You okay? Have we heard any word from the city yet? Have they called us to talk about this?
Not that I know of. I don't know if they've contacted John or not.
And I had asked our road supervisor that at the last meeting, and he had said no. So Judge, I'm going to ask you, have you heard from the city about this?
Have not. I need to reach out to him, I guess, and have a conversation. Because I have not I've heard from nobody on that particular issue.
Judge, along that lines, I understand the city commission was discussing that they hope to be up to staff and reinstitute those programs at their meeting on Monday night, but still no word on time frame or anything else. I was going to ask the same thing. Had you been able to, last meeting you said you were going to try to reach out and have a discussion with them, but no, you met with the mayor, no discussion on that?
no discussion on that, but I'm gonna make a note right now, I'll call him in the morning.
So as I understood it, I think the question, or someone relayed to me that there was a question of whether there was a staffing issue at the city, and they said they were fully staffed in that department. So it's certainly not a staffing issue.
It was my understanding when, I don't remember who said it, that they were 8 short on their public works because they were not able to use our inmates anymore because of the inmates bringing, drugs back into the gym. So our jail said that it wasn't worth it, for the money being paid to have to regulate, things coming into the jail that shouldn't, literally on a daily basis. So that is the last I heard on an unofficial level. So I don't know if they have had the opportunity to hire people for that department or I'm not sure, but I will make a call in the morning.
Thank you. It's good for the county to be proactive when things are being
Absolutely.
pushed here that are in the incorporated area of the city.
Yep.
Thank you. And I,
Squire Tanner.
I have one comment to make. I have, one of my constituents called me and said that he lives in the city and said that he had delivered some trash out there, limbs and things he picked up. And the people were very nice, cordial, did a great job unloading, helping him unload his truck, and he had nothing but praise to say for your employees.
Good, appreciate that.
Judge. One, just want to thank you. I've got nothing but praise from the people along Onance Bend and the other roads that have been paved. They're ecstatic. They wish we could do something about some flooding on more of the roads, but that's a whole other issue. So if you would pass along, thanks for me for that. And I'm wondering if you have got word, there was 3 roads that the state was supposed to be starting paving last week. Have you had any notice about
No.
when they're going to start those? I wonder. St. John's is
know they said
just
St. John's.
super excited to
Yeah.
get that road finally paved, and it's 2 weeks now. I'm wondering if there was an ETA. So.
I was told that road was gonna be on the list this year, but
Yeah.
I didn't know when for sure when we were gonna pay it.
Thanks.
Squire Westman, I will make the call to check on that also.
Thanks, sir.
We're basically wanting to know a timeline on the roads that are going to.
The newspaper had published 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
that those were going to be started last week, and none of them, to my knowledge, have been yet.
Okay, I'll look into that also. Stephen, thank you very much, I appreciate everything y'all do.
Thank you.
All right. And anybody have any questions on item number 2, minutes from our regular meeting on May 10th, 2023?
I got a couple of,
I can judge. But go ahead.
was a couple of things I think that should be changed. One of it's on,
Could you turn your mic on,
one,
please, Squire?
two, third, excuse me, I think it need to be changed. It's on the 3rd paragraph on, second page of the script. Motion by Squire Dyke, second by Sebastian, to authorize to renew with, and I think that should be acquire instead of renew with. And we did not renew with United Healthcare, we acquired. The other one is down the next paragraph down there, we talk about subsidizing, but we don't say how much. And I think that should be included in that motion too, that it's 65% of family, well, family is 60, I believe. Spouse is 65 and the children is 65% subsidized. And that should be in the record here too, I believe.
Yeah, I would agree. Clerk, did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm right on the percents.
We'll double check that, but yes. Squire Sebastian.
And staying on that page, if you will go down to the next item, it would be the 5th paragraph, where it says motion by Squire Tracy, second by Squire Wissman, for authorization to accept an extension. Actually, what the motion was, is the motion was to table. It was not to accept and authorize the extension. It was to table it. So it just needs, for clarity, if we go back and use this as a record.
Absolutely.
I have a motion tabled at the end, but I'll change it.
But the actual motion was to table it. It wasn't to go ahead and do the authorization. So just for clarity, if there's ever a
No,
question.
actually, she's right.
Thank you.
It was tabled.
Anything else on the minutes? Seeing nothing else. Good evening, Sheriff. Good to see you tonight.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, good. What do you have for us?
So we finished our fourth quarter from 2022, and we turned the excess fee check over to the treasurer, Miss Amy, and that was for $1,979.25. So we paid all our bills, stayed within budget, and had a little bit of excess fees.
We appreciate you and your team for doing that. It means a lot. Any questions on that item? Seeing no questions, move on to the.
Judge?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Squirrels.
Sheriff, just wondering about generally sort of your fee processes, how this year has gone, particularly sort of property taxes, while we have you here. Have you had any issues that arose with any residents?
No, I mean, civil service papers, we serve a lot of car inspections. Of course, concealed weapons are down because now we're a Constitution carry state, so a lot of people aren't getting their permit, but it wasn't a whole lot of revenue. And of course, as long as the tax roll continues to grow, we'll get more commissions.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Sheriff, gonna keep moving?
Yes, I guess my last thing is, we covered the excess fees, is the 2021 tax audit. We come back with no findings, which we're happy again to, we're collecting around $50 million, so it's a lot of money running through there to get it down to zero, reconcile, pay all the tax districts, and have no findings, so very proud.
And you should be, and I want to commend you and your team for that, because that's very impressive to get a clean audit with all that money moving through.
And I want to thank, it takes a lot of people, the county attorneys, our lawyer, and then you got the county clerk and the PGA and all the tax districts, and of course the courts, so, and employees, and there's a lot of people involved.
Thank you again.
Yes, sir.
Questions or comments for the sheriff? All right, thank you. Next item is authorization to approve a bid for SLA Enterprise Road Department. Clerk, I'm gonna change that to Road Department Project instead of garage on there, if that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Judge,
Oh, I'm sorry, Sparks Tracy.
you're fine. Can we add after project that includes the maintenance shop and vehicle storage facility with a overhang of no less than 3 foot?
That's what you like to do. I'm fine with it. Everybody else okay with that?
I'll second it if you're gonna make it as a motion whenever the time comes.
You need me to read it again? Okay. So, authorization to approve a bid award to SLA Enterprise LLC for a road department project that includes the maintenance shop and vehicle storage facility with a overhang of no less than 3 foot.
If it's okay, when we get to voting session, we'll make a motion for that to change that, and then we'll vote on it, that's okay. Everybody? All righty.
Judge, will that change the cost of the bid?
No, it's what was already been bid.
Okay.
It's okay. Okay. Yep. Okay, thank you. So Amy, since you said something, would you like to come up?
That's where that goes.
Just looking out for everybody, right? You got questions? So you
You should have in your packet the audit report for year 22, and that was no finding. That was a clean audit for our previous treasurer.
Bart's back.
And I'm gonna probably call Fiscal County attorney. I think I've asked this question. Because this has popped up in our audit before, on page 25 of the audit. Is there, and it's under note 12 for receivable. Is there any way we can use our legal resources to find out if another firm or group bought RJ Industries their assets and their debts in an attempt to collect the due bill to Franklin County. That due bill is $6,653, and that's from 2009. And as you know, based on the Kentucky Constitution, we can't write off a debt. So it will be out there forever if we don't collect it, and it will show up in every audit going forward. So I've asked this question before, just asking it again.
What is the question? What are you asking?
So is there a way we can use our legal resources to find out if another firm or group bought RJ Industries? Because when they buy it, they buy their assets and their debts. In an attempt to collect this due bill that's been hanging out there since 2009. Because this will show up on every audit going forward because we have to report it. Now, our treasurer, you can tell me that that's not right, but unfortunately, I know that's right.
So you were wanting to hire an outside agency to?
No, I said, can we use our legal resources here, somewhere in the office of the county attorney, to do some research to find out what firm or group bought RJ Industries because they buy the assets and the debts.
Correct.
And so someone has to, this has been assigned to some firm, I say someone, some firm or group. So I don't know if there's a way to go, to seek out from that group to see if we can be paid this amount that continues to show up in our audits since 2009.
And I don't know if that's ever been done. I mean, I can attempt to do that. I mean, we're talking about now, what, a 14-year-old debt?
Yep.
So I don't know if anything has been done over the last 4 years to look into that or not.
Tell me.
Because I am just now 5 months into this post.
I understand that. I'm just tossing that out there to put on like a to-do list because I don't know. I don't know if you have someone in your office or how that works, or if there's some of the resource we call on to be able to do that kind of research.
I'm sure you could hire an outside agency to.
I would hate to spend more than $6,000 to try to collect $6,000.
Understand.
That's been hanging out there, but this will show up in a county audit and continue to show up and continue to show up in an audit. So I raised that for that purpose. I know I raised it before, and I think possibly during COVID, it may have just gotten, lost. So I'm asking. All right, thank you. And then I have another question for our treasurer. Tax abatements on pages 24 and 25. How long do those remain, I guess, actionable? I guess is the best way. Isn't there a period, a term that they stay out there for, I don't know, if it's 10 years, 20 years?
They do have a term.
They have a term.
And I have a chart that has that term limit. And so I'm assuming that once that term is over, they will come off.
Roll off, yeah. Because it seems like there was more than this on our last audit, but I didn't pull it out to compare notes. But it might just be something that we all want to kind of walk around with that knowledge at some point. Because as we go into the next year, there may be companies that want to utilize that are on this list.
And I can provide that for everyone.
All right, thank you. If you would, I would appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you both.
I'll just reiterate that. I was going to ask the same thing, of course, Sebastian, that we have a line item for abatements, and yet I'd never seen what was current and what was due to roll off anytime soon, so I would appreciate that. Could we ask for that $6,000 receivable, just a full report on that? Was there ever a lien filed by the court in any manner, any capacity, any other efforts attempted to collect on that debt? I realize you're asking what are our legal recourses, but also a little research into what has been done to report to us. Thanks.
Am I interpreting it wrong, or this is obviously before I paid any attention because it's 2009, did Franklin County, it looks like we overpaid them and didn't get a refund because we paid them off a year early and gave them the whole amount. And then they just didn't refund us basically the interest or whatever the last payment should have been, it looks like. But I got another question though, excuse me, I'm just kicking something around that they already did.
It's all good. Go ahead, Squire.
on page 24D, where it talks about, how you pronounce that, occupational tax fee abated, it lists a number, $72,275. None of the rest of them do. How come, why do they not show how much we abated?
Well, we don't pay every one of them. They go through, it's through the state, so there's requirements of the state. They have to meet those requirements. If they haven't, they're not eligible. Or it could be that they've exhausted, there's a limit.
The amount.
And they've exhausted the amount, so they never come to the county to request the occupational tax.
But these people did,
Yes,
but the rest of them didn't, actually weren't abated then, is that correct?
not during this fiscal year, no.
Well, some of them were, okay, thank you.
Mark Blackburn.
Yes, I was looking at that one as well. Was that an abatement or was that a reimbursement? Because I
believe it was a
think
reimbursement.
I thought they'd paid and then you had to meet certain qualifications to attain the abatement, so then there was a reimbursement. So moving forward, are we abating that tax on that threshold that they've met, or are we gonna have to pay another reimbursement
No,
later in the year?
They pay,
Mhm.
they pay, and then based on whether or not they are eligible, then they'll request that refund from
Okay,
us.
okay.
And I feel like, do you remember? We have had 2 abatement refunds in this
We have.
fiscal year, and I feel like that's one of them.
That was one of them.
It
That was a
is
big
one
one.
of- Yes.
Seeing no further questions, anyone want to move on?
So the next item is our second and final amendment for our current fiscal year. Your abstract goes through the details of what revenues are being amended in. Note that in the general fund and the fire, I increased the expenditure, just called contingency. And I'll do a budget transfer towards the end of the year for those items those expenditures that are over budget at this point.
Any questions on this?
I just want to call attention and share appreciation with our treasurer in the financial impact where she stated that with the amendment, the budget for the fiscal year will increase by, a certain amount. And it demonstrates at that point, based on including capital expenses and federal projects, that the county's budget is $54 million. And I would hate for anyone to see that and think that that's what the county lives on, because that is certainly not. And I appreciate the addition of the 30 million in there so that everybody understands the distinction between the two. So thank you, I just appreciate that. That stops me from asking you to say it again for the 8 millionth time, too.
Preemptively answered your
Yep,
question.
she did.
I was ready.
You were ready, you were ready for me.
Laura Wissman.
I'll just go ahead and ask this. I mentioned it at the last meeting, but I'd like to request an analysis of that tourism fund for the Grand Theater. I know we're very close to that bond being paid in full, and since it outperformed fairly significantly this year, I'd like to sort of see where we're at. If you could give us an analysis, maybe at our next meeting of that.
I did reach out. I had notes of that. The bond comes due 2032. There will be a rate adjustment, he said, in 2025. So that'll be coming up for us.
All right, Amy, you got one more, correct?
The big one, the budget. So this is the first reading of our budget for year-end '24. In your packet, there's 3 pages of the changes that have been made since the last time we met and reviewed this.
Amy, I will say before anybody has any questions, that I appreciate all your hard work. I know it's been a learning curve for you and I coming from the private sector. And I know we've talked about this as far as we'd like to be closer to zero, but because we're a cash-based kind of business, I guess you could say that it's just the way it is, you know. So I do think the county's in pretty good financial standings, and I look forward to even getting closer next year. So, but I think the court's done well. I want to congratulate and appreciate all the department heads that have worked on this with us, and I do think we have a great team, and we're all working for the same goal here. And we all know at this point we need more economic development to help pay for the services that we have. So there's a lot of exciting things going on in Franklin County right now. So I do think we're heading in the right direction. So I just want to kind of say that before anybody got any questions. So thank you. Any questions for Amy on the budget? All right. Amy, thank you very much. All righty. I believe Mr. Hewitt, you are up. I'm not going to read this whole thing because our county attorney wants to read it during the closed session. But welcome this evening. Thank you for being here. Go ahead, Rob. Number 10.
Okay, so this is an ordinance for a zone map amendment, 4.996 acres of property located at 209 Devil's Hollow Road from rural residential B district to industrial commercial district. Mr. County Attorney, how much would you like for me to say?
Not much. I would like, this is the opportunity where the court makes the determination on how they want to proceed forward, as we've discussed with previous zoning map amendments. The court's got three options on what can be done, either to follow the commission's recommendation without a hearing or an argument-only type hearing, review the record made before the commission and determine the evidence, adjudicative facts, which differ from those from the commission, or hold its own trial type hearing. So this would be the opportunity for the court to determine how they want to proceed forward.
Thank you, Judge. I'm not sure you will tell me if I can't ask this question. Correct, County Attorney? Okay. So is there anyone who can speak to the staff recommendation for denial of this request? I saw that in the...
I think that's going to be your argument type, if that's how he wants to proceed. Like I said, you've got, this is really the opportunity for the court to determine how they want to proceed.
Okay, and when you say an argument, if that is a...
Argument for or against the zoning amendment, that would be what that would be for. Not taking additional facts, but an argument on it.
So, I'm just trying to understand the nature of the staff recommendation. So that's something, will I have to source that on my own then, and I can't ask, I'm just trying to make sure if I'm asking a question.
That should be a part of the planning commission's record. It will be a part of the planning commission's record. Yes. What I wouldn't want our planning director to do would be to sit up there and give his recommendations and then possibly put forth any additional testimony on those recommendations, if I could foresee that happening.
The planning commission record is in the packet. The court received.
Anybody else have any questions from Mr. Hewitt on this one here?
We can't really ask him any questions. Max, could you reiterate our options
Follow the commission's recommendation.
and elaborate on them a little bit more?
Uh,
Could you just elaborate on them just a little bit more about those options so we we can vet out how we may like to discuss the,
We'll follow the commission's recommendation without a hearing or an argument-only type hearing where only arguments would be heard either for or against. So, 2, review the facts as they were presented to the commission and determine, based upon those facts, if you want to differ from the conclusions of the commission or hold a trial tape hearing as we did approximately a month ago, 2 months ago.
So let me ask you just a little bit of clarification on those options. The second option there would be allowed a first reading to go forward tonight, and independently, before the next meeting, all of us review the decisions and discuss with staff about their.
It wouldn't be discussing with staff, it would be reviewing the record as it was put forth in front of the planning commission. So talking to staff and potentially getting additional evidence would not be something that could be done. So it would be taking the record exactly as it is from the planning commission.
So if there are additional questions for staff, how might that be reviewed under your first option there? Not a public hearing that we're all familiar with at this point.
Well, if you're wanting additional questions to be answered by staff, then that would require additional testimony to be taken. So you would have to create your own record as opposed to relying on what the planning commission.
Even if it is just stating the findings of fact that are within the packet?
If you're relying on what was presented to the planning commission, but your question was, what if we wanted to ask additional questions, meaning questions that weren't asked in front of the planning commission, which could potentially provide more information that was provided to the planning commission. So you wouldn't be making your recommendation or your findings of fact based upon the record as it was presented in front of the planning commission.
Okay.
I've had, just me personally, I've had 0 calls or correspondence about any of these in here. So apparently not of interest to anybody in District 5 because they hadn't made any attempt to present a case to me by phone or email or anything else. So it would, I don't know about the other squires here, and this may not be very controversial, and if it's not, then we should go with the planning commission's recommendation and not have any more testimony. But that's me personally, my comment. Do you have any comments?
No, I would agree with you.
2 of the 3, I believe, in the packet tonight are within my district, and I have had calls. I'll just state that.
Fair enough.
Any other questions about this one? Laura Blackburn.
I kind of agree. It was an 8-1 vote by the planning commission to go against the recommendation of staff. And that's where I see it. So I don't know where, it's not in my district. But I'd like to lean heavily on the planning commission to make the right decision, so. Yeah. I don't know where you all are on it.
All right, any other things to talk about on this one? Head to the next one. And again, it's just first reading tonight, so I do think there's some time if people want to get that opportunity to read through everything. Time for next meeting.
Yeah.
All right, Robert.
Agenda item 11, first reading of an ordinance relating to a zone map amendment for a 36-acre property located at 2486 Cedar Road from rural residential district RR to the agricultural district AG.
Laura Blackburn.
How many acres did you say, Mr. Hitt?
Oh, excuse me, 56. I'm sorry.
I didn't know if I heard you wrong or I read it wrong. I was just double checking.
Hold a little further away from it.
Mr. Bass?
I read in here where there were 7 conditions put on it, but I couldn't find them. Can someone direct me to maybe where the 7 conditions are? And where I would find that, because evidently that must have been entered into a record somewhere. I don't know who to ask. Is that, can I ask that? I second guess that what I can ask.
Mr. County Attorney, yeah.
If it was made part of the record, it would have, if there were seven conditions that were done, it would have been part of the record.
It says that.
Condition of District Two.
Mr. County Attorney,
I just want to know where.
this property had 2 separate applications at the planning commission. One was a zone map amendment, the other was a conditional use permit. Franklin County ordinance allows for the combination of those 2 cases to be heard at the same time.
So maybe the 7 conditions are for something else. Is that right? Can I ask that?
I'm just waiting to see.
I'm like the 8 million question answer, so. I mean, I've got to understand it before I can make a logical decision on it, so. So if it's not applicable to this, then I understand that would.
So are you saying because there's 2 separate things presented, the
That's kind of-
7 conditions aren't with this
That's the
particular
way I'm hearing it.
application?
Yes.
That's a pretty
Thank
general
you.
question. I mean, we should be okay.
I mean-
Yeah.
It's a separate case file.
Thank you.
Okay, that's.
Thank you, because I'm looked
Conditional
for.
use permit, which the commission can impose conditions.
I read
It's only
this
separate
once,
application.
and I couldn't find them, and so thank you. Because I kept thinking something's left out or something because I looked. Thank you.
I have it with the staff file in the office if you'd like to.
That's A-okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. That helped. Very helpful.
Anybody else on this one? All right, on to the next one. Yeah.
All right, so the next one is first reading of an ordinance amending section 155.000 definitions and section 155.085 table of permitted uses related to resident recovery facilities. This amendment removes the activity as a conditional use in the rural residential B district and then adds additional language to the definitions section. This case was presented to the Planning Commission as initiated by the Fiscal Court.
This is what we asked for. The majority of the court had asked for.
Yes.
Robert, I appreciate you working on this and working with all the magistrates that had questions and just making sure, this is new to Franklin County, just making sure we're all doing it right, and I appreciate all your work on this.
Thank you.
Any other questions from Mr. Hewitt on this one? Seeing no questions, move on.
Okay, we're at public hearings. So this next item is a release of a unimproved right-of-way within the Wellington subdivision off of South Benson Road. My office received a written request from council representing the property owner asking that the unimproved right-of-way be released by the county. According to KRS, the judge executive appointed 2 reviewers, both of them surveyors and engineers, who did an independent analysis of it, presented that report to my office, and then I forwarded that on to the county engineer, who also reviewed it, as well as the road supervisor. The reviewers have indicated there'd be no negative impacts to the county for releasing the unimproved right-of-way. County engineer and road supervisor both concur. And their signed report is in your packet as attachment A. Also, as required by KRS 100, public hearing was held today, May 25th, 2023, 4:30 p.m. to allow the general public to view the file and make comment during the public hearing. The sign-in sheet included myself, Robert Hewitt, planning supervisor Ben Judah, and planner Tina Peck. There were no one from the general public that were present or made comment. A sign was also posted in the vicinity of the unimproved right-of-way, indicating the date, time, and location of the public hearing. Counsel for the developer property owner has included the exhibits indicating the portion of the unimproved right-of-way to be released, which is 50 feet in width. Let's see, release of this right-of-way will allow for a replat of this subdivision to take it back to 1.5 acre lots so that traditional septic systems can be installed. Right now, it's platted as a conservation subdivision with requirements from the health department for a 1-year fill and wait, then an analysis as to suitability for septic. So the developer in this case has decided if he can get the right of way released, replat it, lose lots, make them larger, traditional on-site septic, that it would be a better scenario for the neighborhood. The right-of-way does, the unapproved right-of-way does not have a name on the plat. However, Wellington, the main road, the only road that's improved in the subdivision, was brought up to the county standards by the current developer, and the fiscal court has accepted it into the road system for maintenance. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I know where it is, but I'm gonna ask, whose district is it?
Tanner.
Or Tanner.
I met with Robert and the question I had, was he gonna landlock anybody behind this property? And he assured me that he was not going to do that, and the farmer who owned the land behind it would surely be appreciated if we did do that. In a county, it's not developed, won't ever be developed. They're gonna redraw the lots, make them 1.5 acres at least, which is much better than 1. And there's only 3 people living out there now, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, some of the lots may be sold, but
There's only 3 homes.
There's only 3 homes. And I hadn't had a call about this either, and I'm in full support of eliminating that right away.
This property was platted for development, I believe, it was roughly around 2005, 2006. And we have 3 homes, so.
Squire, Tracy.
Just one quick question. It references road committee members Robert Simonis and John Mitchell. Robert Simonis.
Well, Simonis is one of the road reviewers.
Okay.
That's probably an incorrect statement, but they, I'm not sure if my packet included the letter I wrote to the reviewers indicating that they were appointed by the judge executive. No, it doesn't appear as I included that, but that is in the county's record.
Squire, help pick those because one's a surveyor and one's a
I was
engineer.
just looking at verbiage.
Yeah.
Being on the committee, I was like, who's Robert Simonis?
Yeah.
I know.
Any other questions? Mr. Hewitt, thank you. I believe you're done.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. All righty. Amy's back up. Here's Amy.
So then the next item that will be submitted along with our budget to the state is the annual standing order pre-approving certain recurring expenses.
This is pretty much standard, correct?
Yes.
We'll do every year. Nothing's changed on.
No changes.
Any questions? All right, next item.
In your treasurer's report in your packet, you have revenue and expenses as of May 18th.
Any questions for Amy on this? Amy, I'll go ahead and ask, how do you feel like we're gonna come in compared to the budget discussion this year?
Well, looking at this report, our revenues are, if you look on page 5 of the revenues, our year-to-date revenues are 30 million. And then on our expense, which is page 13, year-to-date's 28 million, almost 29 million. So, of course, our revenues, we've collected most of our revenues at this point. So those expenses are gonna keep moving, revenues not so much.
Any questions for Amy on this? All right, thank you. Next, we have payment of bills. Anybody have questions for Tim on payment of bills? All right, seeing none, we're gonna keep moving. Next one is, we have a board appointment open. We did advertise for this. We have decided to, I'm gonna recommend putting Robin Hill back on the board for the US 60 Water District. So, anybody have any questions for that?
Judge, just a question. Are we taking applications for each one? We'd like in the future to see those attached to our,
Okay.
just for reference.
Yeah, yeah, and then also, I believe, and Deputy Jack, if you want to talk about it a little bit, kind of how, because we do have some board appointments, quite a few opening, and so we're going to start advertising those together instead of individually, as far as try to get it out there to people as far as what is available, if they would like to get involved in the community. Is that it? Perfect. Okay. Supervisor Baskin.
Thank you, Judge. Standard question I always ask, do we have any additional applicants?
No, ma'am.
Have no additional applicants. And are all individuals who are seeking reappointment, are they submitting revised applications?
Yes.
They are, okay.
Yep.
It would be helpful to have that revised application.
Yep.
Thank you.
I mean, the goal is, just to be honest, you know, I'm kind of a two-term person, and then I think somebody else could do it, you know, if there's people willing to do it. So that's kind of what we're trying to stand by, as long as they're still welcome on the board. But we actually had a couple calls, I think their attorney might have called in support of the work she was doing, so. But moving forward, yes, we have asked everybody to reapply, even if, you know, they're existing, and then they get put in with the other applicants. I just think that's the best way to do it.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Any questions? Any other questions? Chief Brewer, welcome this evening. How are you?
Doing well. Need the water bill doing well. So to start off, if, for the members of the court who were with us last fall, last year we were able to go through the fire committee and the fiscal court to get the land next to the fire station designated for some type of fire department use. And our goal for that land has been to have our own training facility, with hopes and knowing that this grant opportunity was going to come up. So the fire commission every other year, generally as funds become available, open this grant up for fire departments to apply for training facilities, and that's going to be our goal. There is no match that is specified for this grant, and the estimated cost of the facilities looked at. Chief Alter and I have been working together on some estimates and trying to figure out what layout works best for us, and the cost estimated at around $535,000 includes the facility, foundation work. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. Chief, thank you for being with us, and Assistant Chief, thank you as well. So is the intent of the fire department to proceed immediately with the construction of this fire training facility whether or not we are the fortunate recipient of the grant?
No, our main goal is gonna be to try to move forward with grants, go through those opportunities first. If, you know, if we're unsuccessful after a few attempts, you know, maybe something where we can build in stages. You know, but having a training facility there in the future will be a huge benefit to our in-house training for our annual and also new recruit training.
So, with the answer being no, is there some sort of time frame, because it's something that probably this body needs to start thinking of if there's a construction project that's on the horizon? We need to start, I mean, I'm all about the strategic planning rather than having something dropped in my lap. And so, whatever it may be, however large or small. And so, what kind of thought process is that? It sounds like it may be a long-term goal of the fire department rather than something that's 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, and long-term could be 2 years to 5 years, I don't know. So is there any kind of thought process about the horizon for this?
We've been working on it. That's what the big land acquisition and dedicated land last fall was for. This kind of actually jumped up and come up rather quickly this year. We were expecting it a little bit later in the year than what it did, so we were trying to scramble to get everything together for it. We do plan on planning out more. The thing with this facility, excuse me, is this facility has a ton of the key features. This is a engineered facility that gives us multiple training opportunities through all the different training topics that we have. So we would be happy to work with the strategic planning committee if we're not successful with grants. But our main goal, there's a couple, 2 to 3 different grants that we are hoping to really be able to get at least a start of a training facility and then maybe expand on it throughout the years.
Okay, so again, or is the thought process, is this 2 years out? Just theoretically, just to kind of give us, is this 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? And it is the thought process, it sounds like it may be stages. And you said something about a pre-engineered facility. So is it something that's kind of like off the shelf? Pardon that phrase, but I don't know a better one. Sort of like an off the shelf, and then there may be elements of it that you would customize based on the need to demonstrate how to draft water out of a pond for fire suppression out in the county, which the city doesn't have to deal with, and or other things like that.
So this grant here, what we're applying for is kind of like a turnkey facility.
Yep.
That would meet pretty much all of our training needs. If we were unsuccessful with the grants, then my goal would be for the next 3 years or so to start trying to do it in stages. So we may be able to budget for 1 year to do the foundation work in a small section of it and have it as a modular system that we can add on to over the years and plan for it that way. But if we can get it through a grant and be fortunate enough to do all of it at one time, that would be the biggest benefit.
So right now, do we collaborate with our partners across the river for training? Do we go outside to like the Fire Commission, KCTCS, and or others? Or how kind of does that materialize for us?
So we coordinate through multiple functions. We do coordinate the city. We cross-train them quite a bit. As they host recruit classes, as we have new guys that need their required training. If they're hosting a Fire Commission required class that our personnel, we always cross-train with them. The Fire Commission offers so many free hours of training to departments. We always try to utilize that. And then there's weekly emails that the Fire Commission puts out where fire departments may send information out saying we're hosting this training. We can kind of send people here and there.
Sure.
But every time you send someone out to a different place, it's just a little more difficult to coordinate as to where we could do a lot of the training in the house and even host the Fire Commission training. So that would be one part of this grant. Begs us through the Fire Commission. The one thing they ask is to have access to it for 10 years, which is what we would hope for, to be able to come in and host trainings and have other departments come to our facility to train.
And so when that happens, because that was my next question, if once this is constructed in whatever out years that it takes to get it constructed, we could host trainings and do individual fire departments when they come in to a facility to train, Is there like some kind of stipend that they pay the host or a training fee that they pay the host facility to do the training there?
Generally, for the training, there's no associated cost unless it's a specialized class. Sometimes there's a fee for those, but most of the training throughout fire departments, through the fire commission, is free to fire departments to be able to host it.
Okay, all right, thank you. I heard 3 years though. I did hear that,
Square
right?
Westman.
Okay.
Chief Brewer, we met recently and had a lot of these discussions that we were already going through, but I wanted to reiterate, what do you think the potential for this grant is, given that the city has their own somewhat training facility, although it's not exactly like this one, that the county gets to use so often already? Do you have any indication of?
I'm not 100% sure. I haven't dealt personally with this grant a whole lot. I've tried to do some research to see what their awards have been in the past, and I haven't been able to find that information just yet. It's one of those, we'll take a shot at it for sure, because the fire commission really likes to take care of all the departments in Kentucky. I think we'll have more success with this avenue than we would something that's more on a federal level, like an AFG grant or something of that nature. But I'm hoping to have a little bit more insight with that before we apply in the future. I just wasn't able to gather that information on this grant.
I have some considerations, and we discussed a little bit of that the city's training facilities within my district, and this one would be as well, that we take into consideration the value of those lands for other purposes. The cities in Bell Point specifically, I think, is highly valuable for development potential along the riverfront, and that we really need to be thinking of building a facility that meets both government's needs and partnering and building something maybe better together, right? I think there's opportunity to have a really strong regional facility for training here in Frankfurt, that if we partner a little more, and I support you going forward with this grant, but I want us to think about what that might be, that as Squire Sebastian is sort of getting to, we have an opportunity to pull people here to train, which also maybe helps our recruitment and retention issues. So just wanted to state that, but not really relegated so much to this grant application. But
All right, Chief Brewer, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next agenda item, I believe it's gonna be Amy and Stephen. I'm not picking on any on this, I mean, isn't that, or is it just Stephen
I
then?
think he's got it.
Oh, he's got it, okay.
This is the county road aid money that we get from the state every year. And this money is used for road construction, maintenance, blacktop repairs, bridges, culverts, rock, anything like that.
Any questions for Mr. Hawkinsmith tonight? All right, seeing no questions, let's keep moving.
How much,
Go ahead, Squire, Dan, you're okay.
on a cooperative agreement, we have to put up 3 or 4% it stays in that fund? Is there a percent that stays in the cooperative agreement?
I think it comes in with 2 payments, and the state keeps back 3%.
3%, they keep 3%?
Yes.
And they front 60% up front, and then the balance toward the end, and then they hold 3.
All righty. Steve, next one, please.
Okay. The next one is on the Bakken Lane Bridge construction. Had to get an extra $28,000, and the reason for that is because when they went to dig down for the footer, even though it's Franklin County, and you usually hit solid rock pretty quick, they had to dig down a lot further than what they really thought. And the extra cost was for the concrete and rebar.
I haven't been out there lately to look at that, but
Yeah.
I would
They did a
have
very
thought
good
they'd
job.
hit rock right away.
Yeah, I would have too.
Swear,
but,
out there.
You know, you wouldn't have thought, they'd had to dig down so far to get solid rock.
Squire Tracy.
I think that it references that the remedy had been previously attempted and failed. I guess moving forward, can we make sure we let people know what we've tried to do that didn't work? That maybe we can save on that part of it.
Yeah.
Steve, I guess my only question would be, I mean, do you think that's something the engineer should have caught?
Well, I mean, you never know till you start actually get down in the creek and start digging. I mean,
So they don't do any sample digging, little digs or anything, just to check before?
and there was not a road, you know, they had to build a road to get down to the creek.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was just, you know, we expected, you know, could run into, you know, problems like that, but didn't really think you'd have to really dig down that far, especially in the creek bed, you know, to get solid rock. So.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Judge, you know, I am a little concerned, I'd just like our county attorney maybe to answer, you know, this is a third increase in the budget of the total project. Should we rebid this project then? And I don't necessarily want to go that route if we don't have to, but the $30,000 increase on a $60,000 project makes me concerned that we're not giving equal opportunity.
Are you asking if we should, I mean?
I'm asking, are we
that's the choice
obligated
of
to, or should we be obligated?
the court? That's the choice
That's
of
a
the court.
significant change
Where's
order.
the project at though?
This was on Dawkins Lane.
Yeah, but
And this project's complete.
That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
we're done.
Yeah,
I
we're
mean, that's the,
finished.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think
That should have came forward to approve before the work was
I don't
completed
know,
then.
I don't know how much it would save if we rebid it, it'd probably come in $90,000 or more anyway. But it does seem like they would have drilled out there somewhere to see how deep before they gave a bid. There's gonna have to dig out and pour in there. I'm not a bridge builder though. I'm just guessing of what they should have done, but that don't mean that's, maybe I'm not correct. Maybe they should have, maybe we should have told them how deep it was, but, it is, Squire is correct. Eric's correct. It is, $30,000 is a third. It's actually half of the
Yeah,
60.
So-
It's a third of the price. But I mean, I don't know there's a lot you can do about it, except maybe we need to be more cautious when we bid them out again to make sure we get a firm commitment on what they're doing.
Yeah, most places that we've ever done, you know, you can get to them, but this spot here, it was.
No, I don't know that
You
either.
couldn't get to it. I mean, you had to, you know, it was woods and steep incline, but they had to build a road to get down to it.
It's unique.
Yeah, it's probably,
That was part of the problem in the first place. I understand that some of the issues were, the previous repairs were discovered while we were excavating. I was out that way last week looking at it, but I am concerned that the project went over almost 50% and it didn't come back to the court to review that or make a decision to bid it again before it proceeded. So, in future, I think we should be very cautious of that.
I think the problem comes when you're repairing a bridge isn't there when you're getting ready to report again, and you gotta fix it.
yeah.
60% more concrete with only 10% increase in the reinforcement. 60% more concrete, that's the overlying cost of the bridge. I get it. And like, you know, in a creek bed, you think you're gonna hit rock immediately.
I mean, well, we were there, I mean, you know, they were there, they had to do it, had to fix it right.
Right, I get it.
All right, Stephen, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Alrighty, now we're down to other business. Does anybody have any other business items?
I got a question about the action we took. What is the time frame on selling those $10 million worth of bonds that we're gonna use to pay for our road department? Have they been sold, or have they been bid? Where are we on that?
Deputy said June 13th. We don't have an official time yet, but it's moving that
That's
way.
when they're gonna sell them, on June 13th, so we'll know what the interest rate is at that time.
We just got that information today, and I'll send it to everybody when we have a time.
I understand and what's facing us in DC has made those bonds very, very popular in the last few weeks, and rates very popular. since he brought it up, I wondered if we were very close, if we might get a more favorable position on those. Fast track that at all? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 13th, like I said, we notified today, so I think that's probably as fast as you're gonna get it going. A couple weeks out. Other business I have is, I met with the mayor the other day. We have agreed, and I believe you all received an email about doing a joint board meeting. I'm gonna call it board meeting, joint meeting between City Commission and Franklin County Fiscal Court on June 6th. And the agenda we are going to talk about is E911. Most everybody knows public safety is number one important to us, hopefully everybody here. And with people not having true landlines anymore, there's a huge deficit, you know, as far as being able to pay for 911 service. So the purpose of that meeting will be to talk with the city, go over it and try to figure it out. So
That'll be the sole agenda item, Judge?
yes. Yeah, and I think, you know, we hopefully will do more meetings. I think having one agenda item and, you know, keep it hour and a half is reasonable, and then we'll see how it goes. So how's that? So I'd rather not make a big agenda item. I think that one topic is okay to discuss, and I think people have a lot of things to talk about, so we'll go from there. And I believe we're gonna hear back, but hopefully we're gonna do it over the library, in that big room there. So it'll be easy for everybody, and it will be open to the public. So.
Judge, on that item then, since you brought that up, could I request some research to be done by staff on how at least the communities, the 6 or 7 counties that adjoin us and their immediate access are, I understand several of those counties are already making changes to pay for their E911 services. I'd like to have a basis to review before that meeting.
Yeah, that would be good. You know, we can get that. And then, you know, actually at the last conference, I remember talking to some counties just from all over Kentucky, and everybody's facing the same thing. So,
and if we could maybe additionally request our county attorney, I remember from one of those conferences that one of those forms for paying for E911 services was in court, and I don't know if there's been any progress on that. I believe it was regarding adding a fee to a electric meter. I think it may have been the water meter or the electric meter, one of those two. If we could see if there's been any movement on that.
Lawsuits pending as far as what we're talking about, Mr. County Attorney.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, any other business? All right, y'all okay with it? We're gonna roll into the voting session. We are officially in May 25th, 2023 voting session for KRS 61.826 is a video teleconference meeting. Physical location for the public attendance where all members will be seen and heard is at 321 West Main Street, District 40601. Clerk, please call roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Here.
Squire Blackburn.
Present.
Squire Dykus. Squire Tracy.
Here.
Squire Tanner.
Here.
Squire Whitman.
Present.
Judge Moore.
Present. Authorization for approval of minutes from regular meeting of May 10th, 2023 with the changes.
Move to approve as amended, Judge.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Who's second?
Me.
Authorization to receive sheriff's quarterly report ending December 31, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive sheriff's 2022 county excess fees.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive report of the audit of current sheriff's settlement 2021 taxes for the period April 16, 2021 through August 31, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to bid award to SLA Enterprise LLC, the lowest bidder for road department garage in the amount of $400,000.
Judge,
Wait a minute, we amended it.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the verbiage.
Okay.
To state authorization to approve a bid award to SLA Enterprise LLC for road department project that includes the maintenance shop and vehicle storage facility with a overhang of no less than 3 feet.
On which building?
The storage facility.
Maintenance and vehicle storage, say it again, please.
Vehicle storage facility with a overhang on the vehicle storage facility of no less than 3 foot.
Clerk, did you get all that?
Yes.
Should I read it off of hers, or should I read what I put down? Because I'm probably gonna read something different than she just wrote.
You can read it off yours.
Okay, I'm changing a little bit, but we should see it. Okay, so do we need a motion to amend it? Or did-
Yeah.
we're good?
We made the motion. We need a second.
Second amendment to amend it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. So do I need to read that again? Okay, just making sure. Authorization to approve a bid award to SLA Enterprise LLC, the lowest bidder for road department project in the amount of $400,000 that include maintenance and vehicle storage facility with overhang on vehicle storage, minimum 3-foot overhang.
No less than, yeah.
Is that okay?
That's good enough for the
All
project.
right. Okay.
So,
Second. Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive audit report for the Franklin County Fiscal Court for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. This is the first reading of amendment number 2 to ordinance number 5-2022 relating to budget for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. The second reading and vote will be on June 22nd. This is also the first reading of an ordinance relating to the budget for fiscal year 2023, 2024. Second reading and vote will be on June 22nd. First reading of an ordinance amending the table of special ordinances, section 1, zoning map changes of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances for a 4.996 acre property identified as PVA map number 049-00-00-020.00, located at 209 Devils Hollow Road from Rural Residential B District RB to Industrial Commercial District IC. The second reading will be on June 7th. This is the first reading of an ordinance amending the table of special ordinances, section 1, zoning map changes of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances for a 56.0 acre property identified as PVA map number 098-00-00-0.20.00, located at 2486 Cedar Road from Rural Residential District RR to Agriculture District AG. The second reading will be on June 7th. This is the first reading of an ordinance amending the Franklin County Code of Ordinances, section 155.010, definitions, and 155.085, table of permitted uses relating to a rural recovery facility to remove the land use of rural recovery facility as a conditional use and the rural residential B zoning district RB and add language to the definition. Second reading and vote will be June 7th. Authorization to approve resolution for release and reversion of right-of-ways within the Wellington subdivision.
So moved.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve annual standing order pre-approving certain reoccurring expenses.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Claims. Is there a motion to deny payment of any claims?
Seeing none, let the record reflect claims are ordered to be paid. Authorization to reappoint Robin Hill to US 60 Water District for a term ending May 6, 2027.
So moved.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a resolution to apply for Kentucky Fire Commission Training Facility Grant for the fire department.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Excuse me. Authorization to approve a resolution adopting and approving the execution of a county road aid co-op program contract between the Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization for approval of change order number 1 and increasing contract amount for the Watkins Lane Bridge construction.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to adjourn.
Just a minute.
Rescinded.
I got a question on number 6. What was the motion on number 6? To authorize $400,000? Isn't this bid $797,000?
That's true. Jack, what are we gonna do?
It's to award the bid to SLA.
So do we change that amount? What do we do? Amend it?
Yeah, I would amend it to the total amount.
In the motion that our clerk took down, she didn't include the bid. She took down the one that
Correct.
Squire Tracy,
The bid was amended.
yeah. The
So what it-
motion was amended by Squire Tracy and didn't include an amount. You just
So
read
it's
an amount.
$790. I thought you said $400,000.
He did,
I
but he,
did, I read that wrong.
but what he said is I'm not gonna get exactly what our clerk took down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to approximate what she said,
Yeah.
but the motion from Squire Tracy had no amount in it.
Could we ask the clerk to read
Yeah,
the
could
motion
we-
as she
could we
has it
have
stated?
you have that motion, please? We can change it next week, but we need to do it now if we can.
I have authorization to approve a bid award to SLA Enterprises LLC for the lowest bidder for the road department project that includes maintenance shop and the vehicle storage facility with an overhang no less than 3 feet.
That's exactly what I have written down.
Okay, don't we need to put a price of $797,000 including that
I don't
motion?
know if we have to because the bids are in our packet.
Or we change what they bid? He added 3 feet to the overhang, which they didn't include.
The discussion was that that did not change the bid. That question
That's
was
what I
raised.
heard.
Yeah,
I heard say
I
that.
made a phone call. They said, just move on.
And if that's the case, we'll have to put the amount in number 20. If we're calling for amounts in all of these
Yeah.
motions, we'll have to amend number
So
20
we
to
can
put
leave
it
it out.
in
We
there.
can approve it the way it is. I
Okay.
talked to Mr.
Right.
Corral.
I could have swore he said, somebody said 400,000.
I did, that was my fault.
The
That was my
amount will
fault.
be in the contract when they come back to us next week.
Sorry for the confusion, it's probably my fault. Oh, yeah. All right, so motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.